we have to confront the fact that the real shit that we're looking for, the real gems and jewels that will actually make an impact in this world, are necessary for us to create a space for by turning off social media after we've received the divine inspiration or the beautiful meme or the beautiful live video. I think we all have to take self-responsibility to really check ourselves to, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself because it's an addiction we're all a part of, where we have to take a step back and go within, because we already have the mind being super noisy always and filtering our capacity to experience divine jewels, and that mind is filtered through all of the noise and static in the collective. And then the social media can be another exasperation of that lack of connection to our deeper silence, from which original new content comes through that can affect the world. And I think there's beautiful things to putting beautiful insights on social media, but I also think that people will see a beautiful post with like deep insight that came through that meditative journey, and it'll be beautiful, and then they'll keep scrolling and never think about it again and never integrate it. So it's just like an endless, it's not very efficient for actually integrating. So I think we have to think now beyond just the social media and the way that it's like, maybe I'll be seen, maybe I'll be heard. Get over that desire to be seen and be heard, and think about what I can actually do with this that might not be seen and heard in this moment, might not give me the instant gratification of a bunch of likes and feeling like I might be inspiring people. It might actually, how can I challenge myself to create something that will sustain and that will last and that will make tangible impact in the world beyond this social media cloud of just mental socialization, which is just like a cloud that's just up here, and it's like great, but it's like there's like just looping and looping and looping and looping, and these times are calling for us to be really embodied and really connected to each other viscerally, and really thinking more about like less about like how can I be seen by you right now and like validated that I'm an amazing, like there's a place for that. We all need to feel that so we can like have the confidence to actually be our full selves in the world. But there's also a time where it comes like, all right, cool, I'm like, I feel resourced by this connection, and by knowing this connection that I can like think even greater than that and think outside of just this little social bubble that we have, and like how can I really do something for the world? Because for me, honestly, nothing else is interesting besides
I'm in
like,
the same
and
boat.
I think there's a lot of like, it can become a comfort mechanism where at first it can be healing and necessary to have fun and to experience good connection with each other. It can be a very necessary component to embody that way of community, but also it can be a way to escape or bypass or not confront the deeper responsibility we have for the global community.
So well said.
That we have. And I think that I just see that we're all going to need to step away from technology and really like get into the earth and really like be like, and really feel that sense of connection that this is showing us, that sense of unity, feel that without the screens, and just think in terms of like, what can I create, how can I share my gifts in a way that's not as selfish, to put it bluntly, and just really like, just kind of overcoming this adolescent phase we're all in, of like figuring out who we are with our own ego, and like there comes a point I think we're called into, or being forced into sooner than later, of like, actually it's not about me, like that deeper heart that's like nothing will satisfy if I'm just, it's a continuous loop, continuous scrolling, continuous posts, like doesn't get anywhere. And like just thinking more about our children and like the 1,000 generations to come, like you were saying, and like what we're doing today, because what we're doing today actually affects them. So just maybe imagining more like our children, or our children's children looking at us right now, and how we're conducting our days.
Now, it's true. That's it.
And
that's the feeling.
We're responsible for where they're at. Thank God for our ancestors who put in the fucking work.
They did.
To get us to this beautiful place right now. And how are we actually honoring that? And that's a challenging question to face, because we don't want to accept that responsibility, because we don't know that we're worthy or powerful enough to even have an impact. So we kind of like we kind of reject that responsibility, and that comes with knowing our true power and our true effect, because and a lot of it's because we just haven't been met in community on a deeper level and in like a really simple level in order to feel like we are enough and we are seen and we are loved. But that's just like one aspect of it, is like creating the community. But I think it's we have to start to gather together and be like, how can we actually celebrate ourselves as a prayer for something greater? Like, I think
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
like there's a way of being on social media where it's like, here I am, and like I want to give you something that like, please keep feeding, like please follow me and like me and love me, and let's just keep this like relationship going. And that's a way of like unconsciously keeping people stuck in this like egoic dimension of social media, of just like, here I am and blah blah blah. And there's a way of actually calling people into like, hey, I want you to go and do your life. Like, I don't care if you like come back to my Instagram tomorrow or ever again, and I don't care, like, this isn't about this is about your life outside of this, and this is not about me and what you think of me. This is about you, and like, and so there's just like a subtle distinction there.
That's it. That's the fine line.
Are we supporting each other in continuing to be here in these loops, or are we encouraging each other to be more with life as it is off screen as well?
Exactly.
These devices are designed to keep us stuck there, to keep us here.
They are. It's been designed.
They're not actually designed to support us in creating a life of sustainable expansion.
Right. Well, and on the other hand, I think it's important.
They serve that purpose for sure.
Both
all
purposes.
Part of it, but just for the deeper nuance of like the mindsets that create these and that are behind the scenes. We know they love money, and we know they get that money by keeping us here.
That's true. And it's also
so it's our job to know that this is a reflection of us. Like you said, it's a part of it,
important,
and that we are the creators of what this field is, and we have to create that together. A new culture of being on social media. We have to create that together by acknowledging it not as the full picture, but acknowledging the realities of how it disconnects us also from the deeper responsibility at this time, and really upgrade our relationship to social media to like, how can it be something that we use to inspire a life of embodiment that is not addicted or dissociated to that instant gratification, external kind of like hooking kind of stuff that is exacerbated all over the world in different external material things, including social media. But we have to up the game and use this very skillfully.
And to stay aligned in that, to stay humble in that, to stay honest with yourself about how you're showing up in relationship to this amazing tool. Because I don't want to just like completely bash social media either, because there's a reason that Gaia, the planet, invented this through us. Think about that, right? Like, why did it
reminds us
happen?
of the connection and that we're not alone.
Well, right. And like in forests, mycelial networks grow in order to connect all the trees. They're a conduit for connection that's a little different than two tree roots touching, but it facilitates the ability for a tree 400 feet from another to send nutrients and love. And so there's like, in this, it's a great thing to have when you're living without telepathy and you're living with, but you still want the connection, and distance is a factor.
But it's a journey towards telepathy, and telepathy that innate technology internally can't be activated without a certain level of rehabilitation from dependency on the external technology.
Collective to face that.
And like you were saying earlier, there's like a way of coming on and being like, hey, like, blah, 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 like, here's my social media persona, and it's like all beautiful and good, and it'll make you feel good for a moment, and that's like a beautiful, and here's a way to feel more connected to me, and then I think there's also a level of balance to bring through where it's actually like, what the fuck are we doing?
What the fuck are we doing?
There's also like that balance.
There is that. We gotta really look at it and be ready to confront that, and like be confronted, I think, drop the pride. Like, what are we doing?
And I think we don't, it's like, it's scary to share something like that. And I ask this to myself. I want to ask this to myself more, and not be afraid of that, not become overly complacent and complicit. Like, there's two sides. It's all perfect. Everything's beautiful. It's all taking its perfect process, and we're all very innocent beings doing good things. And also there's a level of what the fuck am I doing that's super important for my life. And I think if we all stopped for a minute, like caught ourselves scrolling or caught ourselves thinking about what people think about us, and like checking how many people viewed our stories, and like how people liked our, and like if we checked that in with more like what the fuck are we doing, I think that's actually necessary, super important, necessary to bring back. And I'm speaking like to myself, because, and I noticed that when I'm actually in life, like in people, creating that deep connection and having that deep experience with the earth and with people, I'm not on social media. I'm only on social media when I'm actually not experiencing that deep embodied reality. And I want us all to experience that deep, but also we have some kind of level of allegiance that could feel relevant to the connections that are here, that and celebrating the fact that this connects us to all the people that we want. But like, what are we spending our time and our energy? I think we have to really become very discerning and very like guarded on like who we're actually connecting with, what content we're actually intaking, how much time, like, are we actually reaching out to those people and using this device to call up like those mentors, those people you look up to, those friends that will really support you? Or are we losing ourselves more in the collective, like,
this is
purposeful,
so important,
because it's so not organized. Just our feeds are not organized, so we have to be very discerning and say just in the ways that we would want to guard this world and our collective experience. And we want to make sure that like we're not being hijacked by like and seduced by like things that waste our time and distract us, and that are repeating old ways of dissociation. And we want to have boundaries with certain people. That has to be applied into social media. I think like strong boundary game, like coming on like, all right, I know this thing is full of this tendency to become disembodied and not actually attuned to the body's truth, but if we feel more the ways that we can get lost in association, continue to scroll and scroll and scroll, seeking for that hit of that beautiful post, that just in a few seconds the dopamine goes away and we never remember and integrate that. Like, what if we tune into our body, and what if I tuned to my body and saw that, oh, my body actually doesn't need that as much as my addictive mind thinks it does, and actually desires something much deeper, that embodied connection, that dancing, that in the body is necessary. This can dissociate us from the body. So the body is necessary in order to bring through the actual content, the actual streams of connection that are not so concerned about how it looks on the surface level in this moment, but more so like, because we're already feeling so sovereign and whole in ourselves in that moment with our body. Like, when I'm most connected to my truth, I like don't care for social media, and I don't feel any need to be validated, and it's like, and I just want to encourage all of us to foster more of that behind the scenes work, and then use social media very consciously to create and put things in there that are of service, and but also like know when to back away, know we're not missing anything. We're not, just because we're missing some connection right now, it's like sacrificing immediate gratification with a sense of connection in exchange for cultivating that connection with ourselves instead, which is more sustainably impactful for fostering a long-term connection that our grandchildren can experience. And I think we might be trading our capacity to create that inner connection inside that can sustain a deeper connection long-term, that needs to, in order for those seeds to really sink in and our consciousness to really land, which takes time. It takes time for consciousness to land and for deeper, expansive possibilities and inspirations to blossom. And that time gets short-circuited, I notice in myself, when I'm constantly every 5 seconds opening this. It like cuts off a stream that if I just sat with in my own presence could deepen into something that is much more long-term expansive and blossoming.
I really deeply resonate.
I'm
with
I'm
that.
totally a hypocrite. Like this is all I'm speaking to myself. This is all things I've just noticed within myself.
Yeah, no, real talk. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and this is as real as it gets, because you know we're in the work right now. I mean, we're on social media right now, and so there is a time and a place, and there is a heart resonance. We both felt this was a good moment to drop into some sincerity.
Yeah, because we're coming from a place of purpose, and this to me feels great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Feel awesome about this.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah. And we sacrificed some like hanging out with some friends back there.
Yeah, there's a whole swirl of like amazing
like,
humans here, and
creating something that's more impactful and on a deeper level more connective.